Ethical and socially responsible decision-making and conduct in business. The agenda for this presentation is to identify my topic of focus for my social responsibility action plan, discuss findings and conclusions drawn from research conducted, and provide recommendations for organizations. In business today, it is not unusual to see leadership, management, and employees faced with ethical issues and dilemmas. These issues arise from increased pressures to compete, frequent changes of consumer demands, needs, and changes in industries, and strong desires to succeed. Managers and employees are faced daily with important and challenging decisions that impact organizations, employees, customers, families, and communities. Due to the magnitude of influence these decisions have, it is of value to organizations to understand the factors that influence and support ethical and socially responsible decision-making and conduct, and factors that can be managed to minimize risk. The topic selected for my SRAP is ethical decision-making and socially responsible decision-making and conduct in business. I wanted to increase understanding of personality characteristics that are linked to these two aspects, and the systems that can be established to facilitate ethical organizational behavior. Through research, what I found was personality does in fact influence ethical behaviors. Ethical leaders demonstrate moral attributes and take moral action, and organizational systems do support ethical and socially responsible conduct. In my research, it was quickly evident that personality is a predictor of ethical behavior. However, personality is a very broad term. As a result, focus was drawn to identifying which characteristics were positively and negatively associated with ethical and socially responsible decisions and actions. There is an increased likelihood that high self-monitors will engage in ethical misconduct. Individuals who are high self-monitors adapt easily to social situations as a means to fit in with the expectations of others. A cause for concern in this situation is that these individuals may be easily influenced and may be more susceptible to making unethical decisions in order to maintain the perception others have of them. Other characteristics that were linked to high likelihood of engaging in ethical misconduct was high Machiavellianism and external locus of control. It was also found that individuals who display high levels of self-control, conscientiousness, and internal locus of control are less likely to engage in dishonest behaviors. Individuals with internal locus of control demonstrate increased consistency between moral judgment and moral action than a person with an external locus of control. If faced with an ethical dilemma, those with an internal locus of control will hold themselves accountable and make the right decision and will take ethical action. I also found that ethical leaders are moral persons and moral managers. A moral person is someone who demonstrates attributes such as fairness, care for others, conscientiousness, and integrity. Extending beyond just attributes, a moral manager leads with transparency, discusses ethics with others, and empowers others to be just. Ethical leaders provide others a voice. These leaders do not hesitate to speak out about morally wrong or irresponsible organizational behavior or decisions. This approach encourages others to do the same and to report issues and problems to management. Having the right people in the right roles is important, and of equal importance is ensuring that organizations have foundational systems in place that support desired behaviors. As an example, organizations need to ensure that incentive pay systems motivate the desired behaviors. Failure in doing so places an organization at increased risk of unethical conduct. In this case, incentive pay should be tied to the desired behavior and not to engaging in ethically wrong or morally wrong behaviors. In this case, it could be a matter of recommending a product or service that is a good fit for an individual versus recommending a product or a service to an individual in order to only obtain pay from the incentive system. It is also important to note that for systems to be effective, individuals need to recognize when they are dealing with a moral issue. This awareness must exist in order for ethical decision-making and conduct to occur. Even with adequate processes in place, a lack of awareness in this regard will make processes and systems irrelevant. Recommendations for organizations in creating an ethical and socially responsible organization. Employee recruitment and selection processes and tools that help identify the right people. These right people are those who demonstrate moral attributes such as integrity, fairness, care for others, conscientiousness, internal locus of control, and empathy. They are individuals who take moral action. They do not hesitate to speak out against irresponsible behaviors or decisions. They speak openly about ethics, and they hold others accountable for their decisions and actions. Valuable tools include personality assessments and risk management practices such as integrity testing, reference checking, and criminal record checks. Further to personality and risk management assessments, employers should also focus on utilizing behavioral or situational questions as a part of their interview process. This approach will help recruiters gauge how candidates act or react in a given situation. The information gathered through the interview can then be cross-referenced with information obtained in a reference check in order to measure the reliability of information provided by the candidate. While having the right people in the right roles is key, it is equally important to have processes and practices in place that will support ethical and socially responsible behavior and decisions. Decisions that are poorly thought out or made for the wrong reasons not only impact management, employees, customers, and vendors. To a greater extent, they impact families, communities, and the environment. In creating and using ethically and socially responsible decision-making processes, organizations should employ a values-based decision model. The objective of the model is to identify positive and negative risks of a decision or action, ensure organizational and stakeholder values are considered throughout the process, and in the event risks are identified, determine how the risks can be mitigated. This model helps evaluate all aspects impacted by the decision or action. For example, employees, customers, and communities, how the decision or the action will impact each of these groups of individuals. This type of process will also help ensure that the right stakeholders are involved, the organization's values and mission remain top of mind, all aspects, positive and negative, are considered, and ensure that decisions are openly communicated. The process will also help hold decision makers accountable. In addition to processes that guide decision making, it is important that organizations establish business and human resource practices that support desired organizational behaviors and minimize opportunity for misconduct. The research discussed as a part of this literature review highlights two significant needs for organizations today: the need to hire employees and leaders who consistently demonstrate ethical actions and behaviors, and the need to ensure organizational systems are in place that will support ethical and socially responsible practices and performance. By establishing clear expectations and holding employees, management, and leaders accountable, organizations can mitigate risk and create a responsible and a positive organizational culture. Thank you.